Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this new Bicep album, Isles. Bicep are an Ireland-based electronic duo. Matthew McBriar, Andrew Ferguson, they are back with their second album. And I'll be honest, at first, when it came to their debut album, I was a little hesitant going into it. Their blend of very long-form electronic journeys just is not what I usually go for. But they brought a personality and a mystique to the genres that, honestly, I hadn't heard in a while. Their debut album to me was super enjoyable, very colorful as well. Now, at first I wasn't even going to review this album, to be honest. However, I was curious with the opening singles from this thing because they showed to be in a little bit more of an ambient way, a little bit more ambient techno, which for the most part have been decent. Let's chat about this thing. This album starts off with Atlas, and actually, I really enjoyed this as an intro. It's airy, it's vast, it has tons of colorful layers. Now, like I said, this does seem to be pushing more in the ambient techno category, and if that's not your thing, you may not be into this. But for me, I actually think this is kind of tight. It doesn't hit as hard, or it's not as groovy as a lot of the stuff on their debut album, but for me, this is actually pretty cool. It's nothing too outside the box, but I could certainly groove to this. Apricots is really cool as well. Love the low-key groove here, and the vocal sampling is really exciting to me. Like, the vocals on this album, when done correctly, are just right up my alley. This one builds really nicely as well. It's got some great meditative moments, but it also has really powerful synths. It's actually, honestly, right where I go in electronic music. Saku featuring Clara Lasan is, honestly, one of the best tracks here. It's one of the most infectious and right off the bat tracks here. This one does not waste a single second. And the vocals here are some of the most prominent on the entire album, and for good reason. They are fantastic. It's airy, it's a really nice blend of genres. It's something interesting and new from Bicep, which is something that I'm totally for. Now, I do respect the effort on a lot of this album, but sometimes I feel like Bicep maybe bite off more than they can chew. Take, for example, Lido. This is, I think, my least favorite track here. It just comes off as goofy at points. The very plunky beat just really does not sit well with me. Not to mention, the haunting, very airy vocals here are easily my least favorite on this entire album. And honestly, there's no progression in sight, which I can't say for most of this album. It's actually pretty progressive at parts. But X, featuring Clara Lasan, once again, does not do the same justice as the other track featuring her. This is brutal. The first entire minute of this track is just so generic. It sounds like one of those template tracks you used to hear on one of those Casio keyboards. The fluttering synths on this track just don't really ever seem to hit the mark either. Production is unflattering, and just everything about this track gets old very fast. And you know what? I'm going to say it. I don't hate Clara's vocals here. As a matter of fact, I think they're the one saving grace this track has to offer. But even this is done better on other tracks here. And the rest of this album is just very average. Very average. Casanova, honestly, has lessened on me since this album's release. I mean, the playful, bouncy beat isn't the worst thing here. I mean, it is a little dime a dozen, though. It's just very average to me. And the vocal sampling here is, once again, incredibly average. Rever, on the other hand, with Julia Kent, is maybe my favorite track here. I love just how bulky and heavy this beat is. It sounds a little sloppy from a distance, but Bicep pull it off. It's super futuristic sounding. I love the production, and from start to finish, this is one of the best tracks here. And as far as the vocal guest goes, I think Julia's contributions to this track are some of the best here. And Sundial is fantastic as well. I love how instantaneous this track gets. It hits hard right from the word go. It's so haunting too, and has that element of mystery that is kind of missing these days from Bicep. And this track gets pretty larger than life, and the wailing synths that eventually come in are pretty ridiculous. But Fur is kind of middle of the road once again. I actually like the blissful production and the very hectic nature of this track. But for me, this track hits a wall. It starts good, it starts to progress, but then it just kind of fizzles out very quickly. And for me, Hawk featuring Machina as a finale does not work. Look, this album hasn't been anything too wildly outside the box, but the good moments have been very decent. It's been a stomachable album overall, but this track as a finale is very awkward. It's in this awkward in-between between Bicep trying to be on the more experimental side, but also trying to write a timeless classic, and it just very awkward. And let me tell you, no side really prevails. So this new Bicep album, it's fine. It's one of the more average albums in electronic you're going to hear this year. Yes, when the duo are on and some of these vocal heavy tracks are actually really mesmerizing, really meditative, and genuinely decent electronic and ambient techno tunes, that's fine. But also, there's a good chunk of this album that doesn't sway me either way. At the end of the day, this is just very, very safe, which in parts is all Bicep really needs. So for me, I'm feeling a very, very light 7 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.